Hey there, how are you? I'm Fernando Machado. I am the Global CMO for Restaurant Brands International. We have 3 brands here at RBI, Burger King, Popeyes, and Tim Hortons. And I'm here to share a little bit of like a client perspective. It doesn't matter if you are a client, doesn't matter if you are on the agency side, a bit of a client perspective on the key things that I believe are fundamental if you want to do consistent, like great creative work. Creativity can really like unlock the magic and unlock opportunities for your brand and for your business. I love creativity not just because something creative is more fun than something that's not creative, but because it drives better business results. You know, like we have like plenty of data points from BK, from my past life in Unilever that show that it drives better business results. It makes your brand stronger, and as I said, it's just more fun to do work that's creative and that's different, that's daring. It really like helps to differentiate the brand and stand out for the consumers or for your fans. So I'm a big believer, and that's why I was like super obsessed about advertising. So that's how I grew up in marketing, like looking up at work that I thought was outstanding, work that was award-winning, and really like take inspiration and thinking about like, well, one day I hope I can do something that's remotely like that. And that takes me to my first point. I think that if you really want to develop great creative consistently, you need to have criteria. And no one is born with criteria. You know, like I don't think advertising is something that you're knowing how to do advertising or knowing how to do great storytelling. I honestly don't believe it's something that people are born with. And in the beginning of my career, I feel that I was learning really fast. To the point that I think it took me like 10 years to still like a campaign I had the opportunity to work on a year after I did it. You know, I still remember like doing campaigns and thinking with myself, oh, this is amazing, let's send it to the one show, let's send it to like all advertising award shows, and it's going to do really well. And then a year later I would look back and think like, what the hell I was thinking? How did I approve that? How did like I invest money on that? And how the hell did we think that was any good? Because I was learning so fast. So it took me 10 years to still like a campaign 1 year after I did it. And by the way, the first one that made me feel that way was a campaign called Sea of Skin from Vaseline. I was working with Vaseline in the US. I was a global director for Vaseline. The agency was BBH New York. We had an amazing team at BBH New York. Second point is you need to have great creative partners. All my creative partners, like it was a real like relationship of exchange. You know what I mean? Like I felt that they always wanted to know my business and like what were the difficulties I had in my company or in my brand, and at the same time they knew that I wanted them to succeed and I wanted to do creative work. Nurturing that relationship and trying to make sure that that relationship is a win-win, that your agency is making money, that your agency is happy with the work that you're doing, and at the same time your brand and your company is making money because advertising is efficient and is converting behavior. Making sure that that the work that you're doing is inspiring more creatives to work with you, or inspiring more people, more marketing people to want to work with you, or in our case, inspiring franchisees to want to open more restaurants. It needs to be a win-win, and you will probably only succeed and consistently do great creative work if you treat those two entities as one team, because in the end it is. For the consumer out there or for the brand fan out there, it doesn't matter if there is a division between client and agency. They only see the work that goes out. So criteria, great creative partners, hard work, I would include in the equation too. I mean, nothing comes easy. like budgets are limited. Doing the right crafting for a campaign is hard work, is a labor of love. You will always have people around you as a client that do not have criteria, or that don't have the same level of experience that you have, or don't have the same level of creative ambition that you have. So you need to do a lot of the selling job. You need to convince people. You need to like insist, show data, prove the case. It's never easy. You know, like we've been doing great work, I think great work with Burger King, Popeyes, and Tim's. And even though, for instance, Burger King has been quite consistent doing creative that stands out and it's a bit out there, and surely it became easier because people start to become more comfortable with being uncomfortable, but it's never easy, you know, like it always requires hard work from the agency side, from the client side. So going to the fourth point on the list, that point is courage. Great creative is a bit of like a leap on the unknown. You know, like you take the leap of faith on doing something that's different. Anything different raises uncertainty. Anything different that raises uncertainty makes people become a bit afraid of doing. That's human nature. You know, like it's not a criticism about like how people react to a campaign or to an idea, and that's normal. I think that lots of people mistake the work that we do as being fearless. I don't think that the work that we do is the thing is not about like being fearless. Most of the campaigns that we get out there, and we did plenty, especially with PK, we are like shitting our pants like when we are launching the campaign. The whole marketing team, like sometimes even like the agency guys, you know, like we are afraid. So the point is not that. The point is understanding that if you want to do something truly creative, it's probably also something that's very different, and it's probably something that is unique and is daring, and it comes loaded with uncertainty. It's probably something that has not been done before. So I think that the trick is not be fearless. The trick is to do it even when you are afraid. And then the last one, which I think it's probably like it's the last one on my presentation here on this video, but it's also the last one that I've learned. And it's funny because it's the last one that I've learned, and I honestly consider to be the most important one. I've seen people who had strong criteria, great creative partners, work really hard, were brave, but couldn't get shit done. You know, that you could not get the work out there. And I think that maybe as I grew older, and as I became a CMO, it became very clear to me that being able to influence your organization is as critical, if not more important, than all the other things I described to you. I've seen people who didn't have criteria, but had a great creative partner and knew how to influence the organization, getting lots of good creative work out there. So being able to influence the organization is really critical. And I've seen many clients complaining, saying like, oh well, but my organization doesn't understand, they don't value creativity, they just want to do boring work. Well, I mean, it's be the change you want to see around you, you know, and it's, of course, it's easier said than done. But I think that if you start small, like align on the strategic objectives, right? I mean, that's not that difficult to do. Align on the KPIs or key performance indicators that you are going after and what success looks like when it comes to that. Start small. Start with a radio. Start with a newspaper ad. Start with something like just in social media, a post on Instagram. But start, yeah, and then measure that. Learn and measure that against the objectives that you had. Prove the case. Build your credibility. Of course, you're not going to start with a Super Bowl ad that's super edgy. Like it will be impossible if your company is like doesn't have like the same creative ambition as you have. But it's really important that you start and then build the case. Do once, do it twice, do it 3 times. Probably not everything is going to work. Be humble, learn, apply the learning on the things you're doing, and keep the thing growing. And then suddenly, eventually, you're going to reach a tipping point, and the whole organization will be asking you to do more of that. I just wanted to share with you a little bit of like what we consider to be the top 5 things that help create work consistently, and also make sure that you guys, especially if you're on the marketing side, understand that if you are successful, there will be people who will criticize. And that's why it's so important to have criteria, to have great creative partners, to work really hard, to have courage, and to know how to influence your organization. Because that will give you the confidence to keep trailblazing in creativity and doing work that stands out, that's relevant, that people will notice, and that will help drive stronger business and brand results. Hope you enjoyed my short talk here. Thanks again for the team from the One Club for inviting this poor client to talk a little bit as part of this series. And I see you guys around.